Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing okay.
Good. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to ask about how you were because I know last time you were just kind of transitioning into your new job and it's been really stressful for you. And,
Mhm,
you've been talking about how it's been really hard for you in your depression
mhm.
with this change. And so I just kind of wanted to go ahead and do the mood check. We've talked about how your first session is different from your second. And so let's go ahead and do a mood check. So on a scale of 1 to 10, for your depression, where are you at today? One would be the least severe, it's a really everyday kind of thing, and then 10 being the most severe depression you've ever had.
I'd say that between 1 and 10, I'm about an 8 right now.
Okay.
It's been kind of a difficult week. So,
Yeah. Why would you rate it at an 8?
um, I don't know. I've just been having a lot of like nervousness. I don't know if it's called anxiety. I'm not good with you know terms like that, but um,
Yeah.
just feeling very nervous to go outside, especially with the pandemic, um, and maybe that's helping or contributing to my depression.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been experiencing some anxiousness, nervousness is how you're
Mm.
wording it. Yeah, you can also call that anxiety that you
Okay,
may be experiencing, which we can definitely talk about this in just a second.
sure.
I'll tell you about the agenda for today. So basically, I always like to go over everything with you, let you know what's going on so we can prioritize our time together and just make sure we hit everything that we need to for this session. So I'm just going to get an update from last time. We're going to talk about the homework that you were assigned and how that was working. We're going to talk about a couple of the things that have been happening in your life and applying that to cognitive behavioral therapy that we talked about before, and just teaching you a little bit more of some tools that can help you, as well as working on your homework for next time, as well as just at the end, I'm going to, get a summary and ask you for a little bit more feedback so that way we can do it better the next time. Um, I do like to set aside time for you in every agenda. If there's anything that you want to focus on or spend extra time with, is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, then let's go ahead and go back to that nervousness and stuff. You said like going outside makes you really nervous. Last time you were talking about the transition in the job though,
Mhm.
has been stressful for you. So after doing journaling and everything, how is that going?
Yeah, yeah. From our previous session, just the main takeaway was, that I found helpful was the journaling that you recommended. Um,
Okay.
and it just provided a good, like I felt comfortable sharing, and so um, yeah, I think like having some time since our last session, I can recognize where um, maybe the job situation, working alone, working from home, can get kind of depressing. Um,
Okay.
because I am isolated, in addition to just everything that's going on with the pandemic, um,
Mhm.
which maybe stacked on top of that. I don't know.
Yeah. So you feel maybe this nervousness you feel about going outside on top of the new job, being working home alone,
Mhm.
um, can be depressing. So you'd say that maybe those are the two things you want to focus on today?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Okay. Good. Well, let's go ahead and dive right into it. Let's, work through the first thing of just this feeling you're experiencing with being depressed from working home alone. Why do you think that is?
Um, well, I think just the past year and a half has been a weird time. Um,
Okay.
you know, went from working in an office, collaborating with people, to now being on my own, seeing people on Zoom. New people have come over the last year and a half, so like don't really know that many people anymore, and then just feeling kind of siloed. So
So meeting new people is stressful for you?
Yeah, because I'm thinking like, what if I have to go back to the office, and then this whole thing with the pandemic, like, is that going to be taken care of, or is that going to go away? Um, so there's a lot of those things like that. I find myself getting anxious and maybe coping in a way that is not the best.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm honestly seeing these things honestly meshing together. It's like
Mm,
you talk about, you get depressed. It's kind of depressing
mhm,
living at home and working at home and not really seeing anybody. But then it's like you meet new people on
mhm,
Zoom and that makes you nervous as well. So, that nervousness we talked about earlier,
mhm,
they would label that as anxiety symptoms.
mm,
So that anxiety you feel with going outside and interacting with other people.
yeah.
Do you see that connection?
Yeah, I guess I can see that being connected somewhat. I always thought they were just like two different things, but
Yeah. Well, your depression and anxiety can play off of each other, but at the same time, you talk about working at home alone can be
mhm,
depressing. And
yeah,
so it's like it sounds like maybe people would be a solution, but then you go out and see people and you're kind of scared.
yeah.
So it's like a whole new problem in itself. So when it comes to being at home, what are some thoughts that run through your head about when you are at home?
Yeah. So the main thought that I'm having is, um, am I doing a good job? Like am I don't know, maybe a lot of negative thoughts about my ability to do something. Have I forgotten how to interact with people now that I've been away for a year and a half? Um, things like that.
Yeah, what kind of negative thoughts about your ability are you experiencing? Can you run through an example of one?
Yeah. So like, I was saying about like being anxious, about interacting with people, having been at my home the last year. Um, and so some of the thoughts are like, do I know how to interact with people anymore? That isn't, through that isn't something like online, or um, I don't know.
Yeah. So on top of working from home, you also haven't really, so you haven't been working at home and you just got a new job working at home. I'm going to seek some clarity on the problem there.
Yeah. So I had been um, working in the office previously, but then moved to a work from home situation,
Mhm.
and that is you know been the last couple of months, and there's talk now that um, you know things are starting to open up again, that we're going to go back to the workspace, and that's a little
Mm.
scary. So
Yeah, no, I can imagine. So, okay, so you're saying that you did work in the office, COVID happened,
yeah.
you move home,
Hmm.
and then now they're talking about putting you back in the office.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be scary.
Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I can definitely see why you feel that way.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, when you have those kinds of thoughts, we talked about journaling
Hmm.
for your homework. So tell me about how your homework is going.
Yeah. So what what I've been doing is just writing down, like when I'm feeling anxious, or like what you were suggesting, kind of like my thought pattern. Um, so I don't know. I'm maybe just thinking about the worst case scenario over and over again. And you had told me about like distortions, and I don't know, maybe that's part of that.
Yeah. Have you been able to look over that list of distortions I've given you?
Yeah, I think maybe catastrophizing is something that um, I'm going through right now.
Okay.
Hey, if I go back, then I'm gonna get sick. I'm gonna get COVID, or I'm gonna, like not know how to interact with people. Um, and the exercises that you are giving me, it's like, but is that true? Like, I don't know.
Okay. So now you're kind of questioning it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's definitely good because those cognitive distortions do have a lot to deal with your core beliefs within yourself. Because, as we've talked about before, you have with cognitive behavioral therapy, you have the three biggest things, and that's just your feelings, which can be also your thoughts, your emotions, and then you also have your behaviors. And
Hmm.
all of these things play together, and you can call it a triangle, a vicious circle, whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
And the cognitive distortions have to deal with that.
Hmm.
And so these are just some ideas of different kinds of cognitive distortions people can experience. So you think catastrophizing is one that you're experiencing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you questioning about it? You're like, how much of this is real? Um,
Well, my main thing is like, what if, I have a bunch of these what if statements in my head. Like, what if I get sick? What if I, lose my job? I don't know.
why don't we walk through one of those? Tell me something you have in your journal.
Yeah. One thing that I have in my journal is that, like, if I go back to the office, I may be exposed to someone with COVID.
Okay. So if I go into the office, I may be exposed to someone with COVID. So
Mhm.
writing that down, reading it aloud, hearing it, can that happen?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I
I
think it could.
don't know.
I mean, a lot of people are getting COVID. This is true.
Yeah.
Um, but we can also consider, it can happen. But what are the feelings that you have behind it? So if you got it,
Hmm.
what are your thoughts?
Will it have a long impact in my life? Like, will it be something that I'm dealing with for a long time? Um, like, I don't know, maybe it's informed by what I'm like seeing on like social media, um, like it just seems like I'm just seeing a bunch of really bad, really negative things,
Hmm.
which may be connected to why I'm anxious and then feeling like I need to isolate. But then when I isolate,
Right. We'll get there. But in the meantime, thinking about that, yeah, it can it can happen.
yeah.
But think about the realities behind it.
Hmm.
Yes, there's all these things that are possible. But at the same
Yeah.
time, if you think about it, if you get in your car, anytime you get in your car, you can die.
Hmm. Yeah.
You could honestly die at any moment. You could wake up and die. You
Hmm.
could get sick, whatever it is. So I mean, all these things are a reality that we could deal with, but at the same time, we don't know that they're going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, and
That's
I
true.
understand why you're scared of COVID. It is a scary thing, and it could have a big impact on your life, but it may not.
Yeah.
Um, so always, this is something I want you to consider, depending on how you think of your homework. You could always consider doing. I like to do a tool where you, on one side of the paper, you write down your thoughts, and then
Okay.
on the other side of the paper, you will like realistically put out what could happen.
Okay.
And then you circle what you can control.
Hmm.
because
Okay.
sometimes our thoughts are not always as realistic as yours are, Chris. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're totally right in this thought in catastrophizing. Like you could get COVID,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes people think in ways that they're like, wow, like I'm the worst. I'm always going to fail everything I do.
Mm-hmm.
And they write this out and then it's like, okay, like, but let's be realistic about this. You look at it on the paper and you're like, if your friend told you, if your friend said that to you,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say to your friend?
That probably isn't true 100% of the time.
Okay.
I
So
don't
then what would you tell them to say instead?
know. I don't know, probably something more positive.
Okay. So what would you say to yourself in this situation that you feel this thought you have about COVID?
Yeah.
What should you say to yourself?
Um, like you were saying, there's a chance that that might happen, that I might get sick, but there's also, things that I have control over and things that I don't, but
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe considering like the things that I have control over, more than the other. I don't know.
No, you're going in the right direction. I mean, it's thinking about what you have control over. It's like, okay, which it that's kind of what you're doing. You're isolating because you're like, I can control this if I don't leave my house.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have to leave our house. We have to
Mm.
groceries, we have to see family, we have to go to work.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's something we have to do. So it's like, what can I control in this situation? So as we know, they do have protocols to help people prevent themselves from getting COVID. So what are some things that you could do in the office that
Yeah.
could help you prevent yourself from getting COVID?
I could probably wear a mask, or I can, wash my hands, or, you know, they have been, stepping things up with protocol. So, um, that is true. Just taking a step back and just being able to ask myself, is this true, or is this something that maybe is fueled by that emotion, anxiety, or
Yeah,
I don't know.
good. Exactly. So, like, that has everything to do with this nervousness that you've been feeling. So, let's move right into that.
Okay.
So, that's why I was saying I feel like these things both have to deal with each other because you're
Yeah.
getting depressed from being isolated
Mm-hmm.
and then you get
Sure.
anxious from being around people. So it's like the one solution to your
Mhm.
depression
Yeah.
is another problem.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so tell me a little bit more about this nervousness you feel.
Um, it's it's mainly just, like the way that you're explaining it, I'm just like, maybe it's just all in my head. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
That's not always true.
Okay.
It's in every, okay, look, every way you are justified to feel sad
Mm-hmm.
and you have every right to feel nervous and you have every right to feel these things, but then it's when it really starts to hinder our life and the things that we need to get done in
Yeah.
order to do so. And so like you're right, like we can, the severe consequences of getting COVID. I got COVID and something really bad could have happened. I've had friends pass away from having COVID. So you have every rational right to think the way you think.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like we were talking about, you have to get forward in your life. You have to move forward, and we have to think about what can we control.
Yeah.
Um, and it's okay to be anxious.
Mm.
It happens, but it's when it starts to really hinder our life and what we do in it.
Yeah.
But let's just for an example. I'm not no judgment. Let's walk through some of those anxious thoughts that you're feeling.
Okay. Um, like I don't know, what the way that you're explaining things is just like you're asking like what are the thoughts that I'm having, like um
Mhm.
that may lead to the anxiety.
Yeah, because you talked
Well,
about how, like, you're kind of feeling this nervousness, so
hmm
usually, like we talked about with that triangle, the feelings, emotions, and behaviors,
hmm
they're all they're all coming together. So there has to be some type of thought paired with that emotion at times.
yeah. Um, well, I don't know. I thought I said it earlier, but just like the feeling or the thought that, you know, if I go back to the office, then I can expose myself to something and get sick. Um, but I do notice where like because I'm isolating, I feel like more depressed and maybe less productive than I can be or I have been in the
Mhm.
past. Um, so like maybe I can, I don't know, like should I like talk to like my supervisor and ask about more collaborative work to maybe start engaging with people more? I don't know.
Yeah, you can. You can do that. Would you
Okay.
wanna maybe add that into your homework for this next time?
Yeah, yeah, I think that would be good. Like I think if my overall goal is to like maybe reduce my depression and then handle my anxiety, which I think is, factoring in through some of the environment that I'm in, maybe trying to see how I can change that environment. And
Okay.
maybe it
We
will
can
help.
definitely add the anxiety into your goals.
Mhm.
Um, so now your goal will be to reduce depression, anxiety through learning tools and
Yeah.
lifestyle
Mhm.
choices. Okay, so asking your supervisor about collaborative work. When are you going to do that? Because as you know, we always like to make SMART goals and make them measurable, obtainable,
Yeah.
things like that.
I can start, probably next week, just reach out to her and, say, hey, because I don't know, like I want to reach out and ask for help, but I'm also like a little embarrassed because I'm like, will I have to provide a reason for why, like,
Hmm. Yeah, let's think about it. What kind of projects, since you're going to do it, what project are you working on right now that maybe you could use some consultation?
like a lot of like community based work that I don't really know all the answers to. And so I need,
Okay.
I think I have a few coworkers that I can reach out to. Um,
Okay. Who are you thinking of?
um, maybe Kate or Brian
Okay.
or Carmen.
Okay. I think that's totally fine. I mean, that's the whole reason we have a team of people, right?
Yeah.
Even I have colleagues that I ask for help with, and that's totally normal. And that's a part of life, and that's how we do our best.
Yeah.
So yeah, why don't you ask Kate or Brian, or you said Carmen?
Hmm.
Why don't you ask your supervisor, hey, I need some help on this community based project I'm doing. Can we set up a meeting with Kate or Brian or
Yep.
Carmen on
Okay.
whoever you think would be best?
Yeah. And do you think it would be okay to like start from a distance and then maybe work my way into like in-person things?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Where do you think you'd be most comfortable to start?
Maybe like a meeting on Zoom.
Okay.
I don't know.
And then don't forget too, you and I are talking right now.
Hmm.
You're accomplishing things already.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So don't forget that. That's a big strength that you're actually here today and that you're talking this through and you're willing to grow and get out of the house and accomplish goals. It's a really big deal, Chris.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I need to be more aware of that. Maybe like take some time to write those accomplishments down.
Do you like writing? Does it help you?
Um, a little bit. Like I'm more into like recording. Like I have a voice memo app that I can record into. So
That's cool. What's it called?
it's just voice memo on my phone. Um,
You have like a way to separate them?
yeah, you can make like make recordings for each day or um, yeah. So
Okay. Well, then how about we do that for your journaling skills?
okay.
Yeah. So how often are you wanting to do it? I know you said that you're doing it twice a week. Um
I think
last time, is that still good?
yeah. I think
Okay.
two
All
times a
right.
week. I don't want to overcommit.
Okay. And we can start considering those feelings of anxiety that you're having so we can figure out a little bit more about what's going on there.
Yeah.
Uh, for next time, but we are running out of time, so I'm gonna go ahead and summarize everything.
Okay.
So basically, you came in today, and you are experiencing a difficult week. You know, you talked about some new symptoms you're having, this nervousness about going outside, and you're transitioning in your job back into the office, and as well as having your depression. And so you said that you're at an 8 in severity. And so we've talked about several of these things and walked through it and talked about your cognitive distortions and how that core belief can apply to different other parts of your life and how those things can affect each other.
Okay.
And so we've talked about your homework, doing some journaling and continuing to journal for twice a week using your voice memos. And we've also challenged you to talk to your supervisor next week about doing a community based project with Kate, Brian, or Carmen. So that way we can start on a Zoom and start interacting with people again in hopes that it's going to decrease your depression.
Mhm.
Did I get everything correct?
Yeah. You did.
Okay, awesome. And then tell me what I did good this time.
Yeah, I think you did a good job of summarizing. You made me think about maybe how my thoughts are impacting how I'm feeling. And so I'm learning more things as we continue on with our session. So I appreciate it.
Good. What can I do better for you, Chris?
I think maybe just breaking things down into like tangible and like bite-sized um, pieces. And you had mentioned like your SMART goals. So I think that's good. Maybe um, looking at the things that we discuss and breaking them down even further would be helpful for me.
Okay, so me dive a little bit deeper into it next time.
Yeah.
Okay, we can definitely do that. I really appreciate your feedback.
Mhm. All right.
Okay, all right. Well, I will see you in 2 weeks, and I'll see you later.
All right. Thanks.